This is Jonathan Ferguson, the Keeper of Firearms and Artillery at the Royal Armouries Museum in the UK, which houses a collection of thousands of iconic weapons from throughout history. And I'm your host, Dave Jewitt, and today we're looking at the bizarre arsenal of the Vault Hunters as we check out the weaponry of Borderlands 4.
Oh, the little legs are hilarious.
And you can pet the gun.
Amazing!
But it explodes when you do.
That makes me sad.
Maybe it's just this model. Maybe it's a defect of this specific model.
I was just thinking how much I like the idea of a pet gun, and you shattered it for me.
2K, if you're listening, stop making the pet blow the gun up, please. You've made us sad. Also, we now have merch. You can find the whole collection at expvideo.info, but we'll have more on that later. And if you're still hungry for more Borderlands 4 nonsense, you can find an extended director's cut edition of this episode over on our Patreon. But now, without further ado, I'll throw it over to Jonathan.
Oh, that's a rough start.
I think this is one of the tamest ones that I've started with.
What is that? That looks like a Sterling submachine gun from hell with a sort of underbarrel flamethrower and a suppressor, and obviously two magazines inserted at a rakish angle. Two magazines in a V shape, of course, reminds me of I say of course, if you've obsessively watched these videos, you might know that the of course might make sense. The Burton automatic rifle. So this is like that upside down, sort of, but not really.
I should give you some more information about the manufacturers and how they're a bit
Should you,
different. Maybe I shouldn't, but I will. And how they're a bit different in Borderlands 4.
Okay.
So Vladof, their thing has always been rate of fire, and the aesthetic has sort of been Cold War, Eastern Bloc, very AK in a lot of the weapons.
I remember that, yes. I was going to say AK when you said Vladof, so some things are sticking.
In Borderlands 4, it's very common for Vladof weapons to have underslung attachments, so shotguns, flamethrowers, other types of gun. But there's also a licensed attachment system in Borderlands 4 now. So in universe, Vladof could license their underbarrel flamethrower to Torgue, and then all of a sudden you find a Torgue weapon with a Vladof underslung flamethrower. This one has a licensed shield on the front of it, so when we aim down sight, you see the blue shield. So it's blurred the lines between what makes each weapon unique, but it means that you can sort of diversify your loadout and have different stuff on guns that might not have been available for previously. All the guns are sort of blending together through this licensed attachment system.
That's kind of curious, because in reality, of course, attachments, like underbarrel weapons, are entirely separate things anyway, and you can, as long as it will fit, you can slap your M203 launcher on anything. It gives me pause for thought, because in reality, that's not how it works. I know this isn't reality, so there's your answer, but reality makes more sense, as is often the case. Not always. In the underbarrel things like, I don't know, an HK M320 or their underbarrel launcher system. You can buy that from them, and they don't care if you slap it on something else. Whoa, that's a funky reload. I was wondering how they were going to do that. I thought we were going to get one and then the other.
Well, that's not the standard reload. I think that was maybe 1 in 100. I didn't know they had these sort of Battlefield-esque Easter egg reloads. They're much more common than they are in Battlefield. But I was just playing at one point, and they did the secret reload, let's call it. And I was like, oh, amazing, they have those in. And when I tried to get a clean take of it, I probably shot that gun for maybe 10 minutes until it decided to do it again.
So I just saw the normal version. We slap one out, and we slap the other. I'm not clear on how it ejects the mags, because those mag catches don't really look. I guess you press down on the upturned end, and that's a very inefficient lever, but that seems to be how it works. Maybe it's assisted somehow. What I'm getting, I suppose, is the steep angle would present the cartridges. Well, it's not angle of presentation, it's angle of insertion, as it were. So they're coming in at that angle and then having to go sideways to get in front of the bolt, which is not impossible to do, but inefficient and a bit weird. Suppressor on there, and the green colour, that makes me think of the Sten Mark IIS, which sometime after the war, we think, got painted green. You can see some pictures of those on our website. And I think that's what they looked like in Vietnam, or at least some of them anyway. So yeah, it's making me think of not lots, but some different blowback operated submachine guns based on a tubular receiver. The grip is reminiscent either of an SVD rifle grip or maybe the Scorpion, CZ Scorpion pistol grip. That's the only thing on here that makes me think Eastern Bloc adjacent as some sort of callback to them being AKs in space kind of thing. Everything on this otherwise says, I don't know, German, British, Australian, whatever you want to call it, and a little bit of Burton because of the angle of the mags, but they're not like this, they're like this. Oh, this design rings a vague bell. Have we seen this in previous Borderlands games?
We've definitely seen other Jakobs weapons. So all their weapons are sort of Wild West inspired or big game hunting rifles inspired. So we've definitely seen revolvers similar to this. But yeah, a lot of high damage, ricocheting shots, sort of similar to cowboy trick shooting. And they don't use elemental rounds, as far as I know. It's a very traditionalist firearm design in the world of Borderlands, which is a mad thing to say.
No, I know what you mean though. I actually like this quite a bit, partly because I love a bayonet on a pistol, and this has two. So, help me, but I like the white grip.
Is it the Webley with the bayonet you have on display in the Royal Armouries?
Oh, we do, yeah. Yeah, we have a couple of the Webley Pritchard, the Pritchard Greener commercially available, but as far as I've ever seen, not used. That's just one spike. This is two great big knife blades. It's reminding me, though, of the de Monthier patent sort of cutlass revolver thing. I think Ian had one on his channel not so long ago. We don't have one. The blade is forged from the barrel. They're forged in one piece, which I absolutely love. It looks so fake, but it's real. If anything, it looks more wacky than this, except that this has two blades, but Yeah,
that's another one of the Easter egg reloads that caught me off guard.
Like dropping a tea bag into a cup. Yeah, I guess my only query with that, because it's pretty conventional really, although I suppose maybe the fanning is a little bit weird, is if we can fit 4 rounds in that cylinder, which is round, surely we can fit 5, can't we? Or are they saying that they're so high pressure that somehow you need all that metal and you've only got 4 shots?
Potentially, because Jakobs weapons are some of the most high damaging single shot weapons in the game, so it's high damage, lower capacity. But because it's Borderlands, there's RPG mechanics, you can get perks to either make magazines bigger, or you'll just find the right Jakobs rifle or revolver or whatever, assault rifle, and that will have a much higher magazine capacity.
Yeah, well, it does raise the question of some viewers will have seen, and we have these in the collection, something like the Lancaster 4-barreled pistol or a giant 4-barrel pistol you care to mention. If you're only chambering 4 rounds in the weapon, then maybe a 4-shot pistol makes, I don't know, I guess a revolver will always be a bit lighter. And then, yes, of course, you wouldn't then be able to put your bayonets on it in the same way. So I've talked myself out of that one. It's fine, you can have your 4 shots. Oh, that's curious. It's blue.
This is one of the new manufacturers, and speaking of magazine capacity and cartridges having to move throughout a weapon.
Well, see, there comes a point where I have to stop critiquing the mechanics of stuff. It looks like, the only thing my brain can zero in on is the front lower part looks like the XM26 shotgun system, a little bit, but it appears to be also loading. We've got quite a conventional looking belt feed, or is that a chute for loose rounds? Hard to say. The cartridges are the most conventional thing about this. They look almost normal. Oh yes, it is a chute. Turning at right angles, almost like reminiscent of a P90, but not really like a P90. Because that has a turntable to rotate the round into alignment with the breech. Oh, and a really weird little reciprocating cocking handle situation. Oh, I see. So it does have a P90 rotary breech. Not clear on how the rounds are feeding through that chute though. It doesn't seem to be a spring behind them.
There's a lot of entertaining nonsense behind these weapons. Daedalus, they're a new manufacturer for Borderlands 4. They're sort of multi-caliber, I guess. You can have an SMG and a shotgun in a single platform, or an SMG and an assault rifle in a single platform. Combi weapons.
I would lay money on that underbarrel shotgun with the mag being based on the XM26. And then we have a pseudo belt feed, but not really, for the rifle caliber section. Should we remind ourselves what a P90 looks like? Would that be helpful?
Well, always welcome.
Ha!
So I do think a lot of people are going to see this gun, see the transparent magazine feed and think P90. But what's extra silly is that it's coming out of the box at one angle, turning, and then having to turn back again. Just put the box forward more.
Exactly. Yes, you've nailed it there. So for those of you who've been living under a rock for the past 20 odd years, this is the FNP90. And one of the unconventional things about it is the magazine sits on top of the weapon with its base facing that way. A little bit, I guess this and the G11 might be the only things that do it a little bit like this. But so, as you rightly say, and annoyingly I don't have any drill rounds to demonstrate this, but the cartridges are stacked essentially normally in the magazine. And the only weird thing about it is the follower is a turntable. Right, so P90 magazine. I don't have a handy round to put in here to show you how it works. However, you should be able to see, and I'm going to poke it with a stick for you here. This is a plastic coated bit of steel, so it's protected. But if I give that bit a poke, you'll see that plastic, what looks like a plastic cartridge, is effectively it's the follower. Even an AR-15 magazine typically has something approximating the shape of a round to align all the other rounds that sit on top of it. Same applies here. So you press in a cartridge and this thing rotates and then drops back into the magazine and the rounds stack up on top of it. And as that implies, as it gets to this point, it rotates to face forward, nose forward, just like the loading guide here. I always enjoy this kind of instruction that's built into a firearm. Bullets pointy end this way, so you don't try and put it in backwards. And it even tells you there, don't try and insert something bigger. It's strictly 5.7 by 28. This thing doesn't do that. This thing turns it one way to then turn it the other way, which, as you rightly point out, is a bit silly. But I suppose if you need a high capacity box on the side, well, that's the point. It kind of has to be on the side. If it was on top, it would be in the way. If it was on the bottom, it'd be a different design. I'd go so far as to say if this was a real gun, it would be a poor design.
People have never said that about a Borderlands gun.
Stating the obvious. Not of course that it's a poor virtual design, because you can really do what you like.
These are our original designs that we're putting on our merch. They're actually what's on my back right now. So we've worked with someone called Hatlegs to create these designs for some EXP merchandise. And I thought it'd be fun to get your thoughts on them.
What's it going to be? Oh God, it's the unbullpup DM2. I mean, I kind of knew that was coming, but yeah.
If we were going to feature any weapon.
Yeah, great artwork, just makes me uncomfortable. This is unbullpupped SA80. But the thing is, it doesn't look awful, does it?
No.
If someone made that as a rifle, you'd go, oh, look, that's another one of these sort of 1980s AR-18 type things. Yeah, but it's still wrong, isn't it?
Our Cursed collection is a limited run, but features 10 very cursed weapon designs, and we also have a permanent core collection using EXP's logos. But we've got t-shirts, hoodies, and even posters and pint glasses, all at expvideo.info. And if you check out the collection and decide to treat yourself, then it also means you're supporting the work we do here at EXP. But now, we'll get back to the video.
This place is crawling with creeps. Clear them out.
So now we're getting into some of the really weird stuff.
That is quite weird, yes.
The order weapons work on, you charge it up, so you can charge it up to sort of 5 rounds, and then it'll shoot all those 5 rounds in a sort of hyper burst. It means they make very good sniper rifles if you're sure of your shots, or you can sort of tap fire and fire 1 round at a time.
Interesting. The pistol grip is giving me carpal tunnel syndrome just looking at it. That's an extremely odd angle and proportion there. Like an FG42, but worse. I'll gloss over the gold crystals, because I'm guessing that's linked to how it works, fictionally speaking. And it's kind of like a metal dragon in gun form. What does it remind me of? A little bit of the ZF1 from Fifth
I'm glad I wasn't the
Element.
only one that got ZF1. that rounded top.
And the proportions.
I think there's elements of it that remind me of the alien weapons from District 9.
Yes, a bit. Very unusual. Another offset pistol grip situation there. I mean, when you're this sci-fi, it kind of doesn't matter, because I have no frame of reference for this really, beyond it having a grip, a stock, a trigger, a sight, and some sort of analog to a barrel, but not a barrel. Ah, okay. Is it shooting kind of gold crystals, or is it like energy derived from the crystals?
I believe it's the latter. It's like an energy source.
I think for all of the wackiness of this gun, the laser pointer on the left side is oddly conventional. Like, why is it so big? You'd think they could project a laser from a little patch at this point. But then I guess that brings me back to my long-standing complaint about having sights on the weapons anyway in some advanced far future setting. Surely it should all be like neural interface or something. But then guns don't look right if they don't have some sort of sight on them. Ew. Some weirdly pulsing hoses on this.
The idea behind these are like they're corrupted versions of the order weapons.
Okay.
So instead of charging it up and shooting 5 rounds, you have to charge it up and you can hold it down and all the rounds will fire as long as you hold down the trigger. And they seem to use like a unstable energy source, and the aesthetics of it seem to,
Sounds
are
like
not
my
dissimilar. The aesthetics of it are not dissimilar to the order weapons.
Okay.
But that's what I'm headcanoning. I don't even say headcanon. I think that's what the game implies.
Headcanoning all over the place. Yeah.
I think that's what
Okay.
they're going for.
We've got a funky sort of cross-shaped flamey muzzle flash there, and a really weird energy source that you just chuck into the gun. I quite like that. I'm very used to like batteries or magazines of energy, where really you almost may as well have bullets, cartridges. If you can have an energy weapon that's sufficiently advanced that it's indistinguishable from magic, to paraphrase the famous saying, why not throw the energy source in there and it just hangs there suspended? How does it work? Something to do with magnets. Well, all bets are off. Why not make it reload in an interesting, different way? Lots of yellow hoses on it. Not entirely clear on what those do.
Optics on your optics as well.
Of course, yes. 2 extra No, actually, that's not as weird as it looks, is it? Because that's a magnified optic with a piggyback red dot, and then a round counter on the right-hand side that's not a third optic. Well, we've moved on to another one with some sort of fairly horrific-looking knuckle duster bayonet on it. I think that's the best way I can describe that. Which for some reason has the video game pointless wrap around one of the blades. Like it's... Is that what I'm seeing? Like it's broken and someone's taped it back on. I can't imagine that working too well. Maybe I'm missing something. Some of these guns fall into the... Well, it's not really a trap, because who cares? But the weird buttstock problem, where the buttstock part of the weapon is a really weird shape for no particular reason that would be less comfortable to hold than a modern one. Like, there's a reason why modern firearms are standardizing on things like Magpul furniture, where people can just put on the same stuff that they're familiar with and that ergonomically has been proven to work well, is lightweight but robust, and of course fashionable. Never underestimate fashion in the world of firearms. And there's a reason for all of that. So most firearms that come out these days that are new, yes, some of them still have their own proprietary furniture designs. I guess the CZ Bren is a good example of this, where they have their own proprietary design of furniture. But other things, especially if they're AR-15 derived, typically come with a set of Magpul or similar furniture. It dilutes the variety and the creativity and the visual interest for the likes of us. It looks like just another modern rifle. And I think that's why in games, artists like to push those boundaries and do something that's visually different. But I guess I'd still urge people to think about how that would be to hold, to shoulder, to put your cheek against. How would it react to recoil? Why is it shaped the way it's shaped? Because on the one I'm looking at right now with the weird knuckle duster bayonet thing, it's almost like it's got a conventional buttstock that's folded or is just on backwards, because the pad at the back is so tiny and it has a metal bracket that would stick into your shoulder and hurt, especially under recoil. But the shape of it and the big yellow, what looks like a big yellow butt plate, like my brain wants to reach in and turn that around, because it looks very similar to, is it the Retro Lancer? Check my t-shirt. No, wrong game. Which had a sort of afterthought buttstock put on it that was nonetheless the right shape for a buttstock. But hey, this is weird future energy stuff. Ah, it's a Dave gun.
I don't know why you say that.
It's the plaid.
This is actually the first legendary I found as well, funnily enough.
Oh, really? Well, there you go.
Called the bloody Lumberjack.
It's fate.
Rifle plus shotgun that shoots small buzzsaws.
There's another space pump action with... That almost looks like it's shooting AK ammo, like 7.62 39 ammo, based on the cases. All of which have struck primers, by the way. I noticed earlier. I'm also... Some of these are giving me slight Alien Resurrection vibes as well. They were very out there attempts at combination weapons as well. Like very big and bulky and long. Almost the whole movie was very comic book inspired, and the guns were too. And sometimes I see that in games, and I wonder if that movie's had more influence than I give credit for.
I really like how purposeful the design is on this one compared to the other Daedalus weapons. Like it feels like the shotgun and the rifle are two separate weapons that have been put together, and like the switching to the shotgun, that clunk of moving the foregrip and then using that as the pump action, that's very satisfying.
Yeah, it does. I agree. Although it's still quite out there, it makes more mechanical sense and logical sense that it's an over-barrel bullet-firing weapon and an under-barrel shotgun. Much more conventional in concept, even if the design is still pretty out there.
I think I'd used this for a couple of hours before I realised it was shooting tiny saw blades, and I was like, of course, it's called the Deadly Lumberjack.
Well, I still haven't, so thank you for mentioning it. I didn't realise that. So although it's ejecting conventional cartridge cases, out of those cases are flying tiny saw blades.
That's right.
Okay. I haven't... Oh, okay, I think I see it.
Yeah, it's very hard to see, especially the frenetic nature of Borderlands. Look between all the damage numbers, and you might get a glimpse of one.
And of course, there are other things you can shoot out of conventional cased ammunition: flechettes, javettes. I was recently catching up or revising up on an article in the Armax Journal, of which I am associate editor. Check it out, by Mel Carpenter on the range of. So the guys that did the Gyrojet also did some dart firing guns, and they're fascinating. And they are tiny, tiny little needle projectiles that are more like something from science fiction. And they're used to deliver interesting substances.
Do you want to know something funny?
Yes.
Before that gun even popped up as a little visual gag, I put on my plaid shirt. you can't see me, and then you immediately went, it's a Dave gun. I was like, God damn it.
Good. That is interesting. I'm going to pause there to just take in the wonder of this quad machine gun. Having not long recently rewatched Furiosa, the Octoboss has a quad AK gun on the front of his flying thing that he has, with the magazines sticking out at similar angles. So that's quite reminiscent of that. The way the guns are arrayed, though, my brain jumps to Duke Nukem 3D for some reason with that, the 4-barrel. But they're flat. They're arrayed flat. This is not. Oh, actually, we have I think it's a MiG-23 gun pack. The guns in that are arrayed a little bit like this. If I can get a picture of that for you, I will. Otherwise, Google it.
Well, this is a Vladof weapon, so there's the Eastern Bloc Soviet connection.
I think it's probably coincidence in this case, because if you're mounting guns in the belly of an aircraft rather than in the nose or on the wings or wing root or something, or in pods, you kind of have to array them like that to sit with the shape of the fuselage. What look like gas tubes on the barrels make this look like it might be a bit more conventional in operation, but we'll see.
So for more context, this is one of the heavy weapons. So you'll see it deployed over the chest. So those things at the back are going over each shoulder. But to add to its feeling of weight, at the front you can see tiny rocket boosters.
I can! Yes.
Trying to take some of the weight off the user, yeah.
That's fun, and a nod to physics, albeit, I guess, while simultaneously thumbing your nose at physics. In this building, there is not on display unfortunately, a 20mm Oerlikon cannon. It's just one gun, not four, but that is you'll have seen this with that and other systems on board ship in particular, where you strap yourself onto the gun rather than the gun onto you. And that's on a pedestal mount, and they're there to help keep you in place and cushion you from the vibration of the weapon as it fires. I suspect this is inspired by those crew-served weapons on board ships in particular. Maybe on technical type vehicles as well. Oh, the optic working a bit like an X-Wing targeting computer is fun as well. Oh yeah, this looks like great fun. Reciprocating barrels. So if it is gas operated, there's some kind of recoil mitigation going on with the barrels cycling back and forth. I think in reality that's just cool factor. Think 8080 or AT-AT as we used to call it when I was a kid. Chin guns that do this because it just looks cool. I'd love to know where exactly you're stowing that when it goes down out of sight. Yeah, that's my favourite so far. Massive 4-barrel cannon thing.
I thought you'd be taken with that one.
I need them to think I'm cool.
You will harm no one else today.
Someone to give you a stern talking to.
This is one of the Torgue weapons, and they love to make things explode. So the default ammunition is basically like an explosive gyrojet.
Oh yeah, I see it. Those look like miniature Sidewinder missiles.
And then it's got underslung missiles as its alt fire.
Okay, so I was about to say, so I was at the DSEI show last week? Lose track of time here. There were 3 candidates for the American Precision Grenadier system, one of which I got to look at in detail. You would love those things. I think you've seen some of them. They're very bolter. And the size of the rounds in this and its general proportions reminded me of that. So these are 25 to 40mm grenade firing rifles, essentially. Short, stocky, chunky, slow firing. Another weird buttstock, like questionably comfortable. Like we've had a pad, a plate against the shoulder for centuries at this point. It works. There's no real need to change that basic feature. But this has what looks like a pad for your collarbone and a pad for your pec, and then a nice hard bit of metal that drives into the shoulder in the middle. Not really following that. The muzzle devices remind me of something. Maybe a little bit FG40. No, AR-10, original generation AR-10. Similar to the weird combined suppressor, flash suppressor, brake type thing that was on those. Slightly. It's a reach. So the noses of those missiles, those are, although looks like they have sort of eyelids that might flip open. So sensor protectors for some seeker that sits underneath them, maybe, because that's what it should have. The whole point of that design with the sort of ballpoint end on it is that you have usually a cooled infrared seeker. If it's radar guided, it should be like a miniature radar dome.
What's interesting about this type of weapon is this in-game, this is technically a shotgun. Each shot fires multiple small gyrojet rockets, but because they're rockets, they seem to stay quite close together. So it's got a more effective range than any other shotgun because of the gyrojets.
That's a very cool concept, actually. Instead of a choke or a duplex, triplex round system where you get, or a hyperburst, these are all ways to get a tight cluster of shots together on target at the same time. Using guidance of miniature projectiles is a really interesting way to do that.
So these are some of the Tediore pistols, which...
Oh, it's a pistol. Okay.
As we talked about before, these are the ones that can come alive or run around on little legs.
Oh, that's what the foldy bits on the back are, I take it.
And something, in reality, see if you agree, but there was something in our world that made me think, is this a source of inspiration for these weapons? Do you recall the Fab Defense AR podium
Yes.
And it would be an attachment an AR that would sprout 2 little legs for you to mount to balance the weapon on. And I was like, is that an inspiration behind this? Because now I somebody posted in our Discord the Fab Defense AR podium, and I immediately just went, that's the Borderlands 3 Tediore gun.
That's funny.
I do wonder if some of that inspiration came through, but now that's all I can see.
That I don't understand that thing at all. It clips onto the magazine housing, I think, on that, which I guess is center of gravity for. So
it's on the bottom of the pistol grip and
on
on the top of the magazine housing. So it uses those 2 points of contact, and it can just deploy 2 little legs for your AR to stand on.
I only vaguely remember there being something that was a podium.
Well, I think
it could be.
The Tediore one is entirely on the knuckle bow, so it looks even more like the Tediore leg guns on that, because it's just on that one point on the very bottom of the gun, and it's just 2 little legs.
Yeah, sometimes, and maybe this is a reference to that, or it's life imitating art, because if they didn't know about it, then it's still that. I don't know. I think even the integral bipod on the FAMAS, I find a little questionable. Ask a French soldier or French or foreign legionnaire or something if they found that useful. I suspect in places like Afghanistan they did. I think when it was invented, like a permanently attached bipod on a rifle, if you're in some sort of fixed position for any length of time, I think something that lets you rest the weapon is probably going to be seen as worth having, especially if it isn't very light and or doesn't get in the way. And on the FAMAS, the bipod legs fold up nice and high out of the way. Don't know if I recall ever seeing French soldiers use them. But then the FAMAS was so incredibly light anyway, it didn't really matter. That front, is that a... the little legs are hilarious.
Some of them will talk to you as well as they run around. And you can pet the gun.
Amazing!
But it explodes when you do.
Oh no. Why? That makes me sad.
Maybe it's just this model. Maybe it's a defect of this specific model. But every time I pet the gun, boom.
That genuinely upsets me.
Oh no.
I was just about to ask how the hell that foregrip is supposed to work, because it looks like a stapler. And you distracted me with the existential horror of something that may be sentient that blows up when you pet it. I was just thinking how much I like the idea of a pet gun, and you shattered it for me.
You can have one, you can just never pet it.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
2K, if you're listening, stop making the pet blow the gun up, please. You've made us sad.
Wow, okay, they're trying very hard to make this look like a sniper rifle, and succeeding, I would say. It's got a weird sort of sci-fi Harris folding bipod on the front, and it's a revolving rifle.
Yeah, another Jakobs weapon.
Let me see if I can find you something. I haven't shown you a gun in a while. Look at this.
Oh wow,
Look at this beauty.
Is that a Mateba?
It certainly is. Right, so I wanted to grab a revolving rifle / carbine for you to just sort of illustrate that they exist, really. And I remembered this thing, which is one of my favourite modern firearms in the collection, weirdly enough. Well, it's a Mateba, which is sort of semi-legendary in firearms circles anyway. Very sci-fi, almost Borderlands-y looking, I would say. And it's based on their Unica 6 pistol. Yes, revolver pistol. We're there again. With a swing-out cylinder, of course, just like the pistol version, and a double action. There we go, it has to be indexed properly. A very, very slick double action trigger pull. That is so good. And it looks cool, and the wood is really nice. So it's that, like the WA2000, it's that weird combination of like cyberpunk with nice grain walnut furniture. And not entirely removed from this, albeit this is a carbine for target shooting, and this is very much a sniper rifle. It's a nice gun to wave around at you. So, well, not at you, for you. They are absolutely obsessed with saber-style trigger guards in these games, aren't they? Oh, hello, and some fun external hammers. Or an external hammer? What an interesting design. some real throwback design cues, like the fluted cylinder, little notches on there that almost look like percussion nipple things.
You can sort of see the external hammer. There's a small piece of glass. The external hammer is hitting a piece of metal that is offset, and that piece of metal is attached to I guess like a giant firing pin that's in line with the revolver cylinder.
Most revolvers, and this is no exception, although it's just a lot harder to see, have a hammer in line with a firing pin that strikes the firing pin, which protrudes through the frame and hits whichever primer is aligned with it. There's no real advantage in my eyes of taking that hammer out of here and putting it on the side, except that it just looks cool. Now, if it was accommodating, maybe it is. If it's accommodating access to something back here by moving this system back over to the side, because they used to be on the side. You know, think of like the Sharps, for example, the Kerr revolver. You still had firearms with an external hammer on the side, as of course they had back in the percussion era, or the single shot percussion era.
This is similar to the previous sniper rifle, the Jakobs. This is another legendary that I found. So a Jakobs sniper rifle that shoots gyrojet sniper rounds and has a hand crank SMG on the bottom of it.
Why hand cranked, I wonder? I mean, other than just cool factor.
A lot of the automatic weapons from Jakobs are hand cranked. I think to reference the old Gatling gun, things like that. That's the era of our own history that they're pulling a lot of their inspiration from.
I suppose you could argue that it's likely to be more reliable. Maybe if you can't easily get spare parts, or if you're putting things to a lot of use. And I suppose if you regard it as a backup to the sniper part of the system, at least you've got a functioning weapon. That is a lot of fun. And looks like the rounds are explosive as well on both weapons. No, I like that. It makes, almost needless to say, almost no sense, but it's fun. Of course, as a sniper, you do need some sort of personal defense weapon. It's just that usually that's either a carbine or a pistol or both. It's not likely to be a hand-cranked anything, actually.
I like that they've turned the iron sight into a holographic as well. The old, what were those sights called? Is it a ladder sight?
Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. Yes, that's strange.
They've taken the sight. They've taken the housing of the old school style sight and turned it into the housing of a red dot. Also, I just wanted to include the nastiest shot I've ever made in Borderlands.
What just happened?
The first shot blew the enemy up into the air, and then I
second
no-scoped
one
about the
jibbed
sky.
him. Gibbed him. Gib, I guess, is the correct pronunciation. No, jib, because of giblets.
Yeah, it makes a mess of the enemies, this one, but it's a lot of fun.
It's kind of more like a semi-automatic anti-tank rifle, like a Lati or something, than a sniper rifle. Does it have the option for more of a scope or not?
This is the only variant I found because it's a legendary. I don't know if other drops can have other optics on it because they can have some aesthetic changes, but I think this is the version in game. This is the only variant.
Yeah, I'd call it more of an anti-materiel rifle with an underbarrel personal defense weapon.
Thank you all for watching. Let us know what other games, movies, TV shows, or beyond you would like to see on the show. And of course, so you don't miss out on future episodes, subscribe. As always, a huge shout out to all of our supporters over on Patreon for supporting EXP and helping make these episodes happen. Links to support Jonathan and the Royal Armouries will be in the description below, so make sure you check those out and show them some love as well. But until next episode, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you real soon.
Either annihilate me or don't bother trying.